a video, not so much a full review since I've done it, but at least a slight review / comparison with a test shot for Mastermind Creations RO4 Leo DUX, also known as Razor Claw from their Feral Rex / Predaking combiner. And he comes in the standard reformatted packaging that we've seen now. It's a window box with the clamshell inside. I left the weapons in. We're not going to need those for the view. Some art on the inside of the box here. And all in all, just a standard nice combine mode. Pictures on the back. A nice sturdy package, which you've come to expect with these figures. Inside you get the figure himself, his accessories, the instruction booklet / comic, telling another part of the battle for Mortaurus. Pride before a fall, get it? And then you get the Leo DUX bio card. Now, if you ordered from Planet Steel Express, or PSX as it's generally said, you'll get a bio card for Feral Rex, and that's something that apparently they themselves did. Planet Steel Express did for their customers. And while they are about the closest thing you'll find to a direct store for Mastermind, they are a separate group of people doing their own little thing, so that was something that they cooked up. So don't feel bad. It's not something that Mastermind specifically sent only to one store. It was something that the store itself decided to cook up. So here we are. Here we are with the two Leos. This is the test shot over here on the left, and the final version here on the right. And visually, they're pretty similar. There are a few changes here in lion mode to show off. One, the paws, the back legs. I don't know. Get them both back legs in here. Now, this part right here on the back leg has been thickened a little bit. This upper thigh, as well as this piece on the front of the paw here. There's just a few more little details. Like, see, this is a little skinnier. This piece doesn't have the opening. This piece is a little flatter and skinnier against the leg. And this down here, you can see this has kind of a rounded piece like it's a joint, but this was a fixed solid piece. This whole leg down to the ball joint was all one solid piece with the paw, whereas back here now, you can see there's a pin through there. On top of thickening some of this stuff up, the ball joint itself is now on a hinge joint, so it's not a fixed piece. So you get a lot more positioning out of the thing. And it's a very tight ball joint. Every single joint on this figure is much stiffer than on the test shot, which was already pretty impressive. Like down here, this pin joint is stiff enough to support his weight on the paw as well. Now onto the lion head. You'll notice this one doesn't have the little beard there, whereas this one does. I think it was in some photos and not others, and so it did end up on the final version. It just hadn't made it onto this test shot right here. The gold is pretty much the same. Like, people were wondering about that, and some pictures didn't do it justice, but the richer gold that was on the test shot is the same gold that is on the final. So rest assured there. If it's still not dark enough for you, then you can paint it yourself, but it is there. You can also, somebody on the boards figured this out, the way that the head is plugged into the back of his robot mode head, as well as on a ball joint on the armature down here. And if you pop it off the ball joint like this, and just use it plugged into the back of the robot mode head up here, you can get a lot more expressive, a lot more positioning out of the neck for the lion head. So just to show you, and I'll show you that. That's just a little. There's a little peg here underneath here that, while in animal mode, plugs into the back of the robot mode head. And also, that brings us to one of the other big changes here in lion mode, and that's I'm going to pop both their heads off here for just a second to show this off. On the test shot, you can even kind of see where there's some glue residue here where I had to glue one back in. All the main pieces were on these little ball and socket joints that were made out of the black palm plastic. And for whatever reason, it just didn't want to stick well with the main pieces, and it tended to pop out a lot. So what they did on the final, as you can see, they molded the cup into the main piece, and then went to a solid metal ball joint in there. I don't know how much you can see. You can see it's really shiny. So before we had these plastic caps inserted into the main with the black plastic ball joint plugged into the front of the main, and now you've got these nice shiny gold metal pins that are way stiffer. They hold the main pieces in place a lot better and aren't going to crack and fall out like these did. So that's one of the things that one of the major changes. I feel it's not visually noticeable when you're playing with it, but one of the real step ups in engineering between the test shot and the final. So I'm going to go pop these robot heads back onto their respective lions, and then we'll get into some robot mode comparisons. All right, and back in with robot mode. And again, test shot is over here on the left of your screen, whereas the final version is on the right. And once again, all the little joints and jiggles and everything in this thing have been tightened, with the exception of these sliding feet. They're actually much easier to slide up and down. They still lock in place just fine, but before, trying to slide these up and down took a lot of effort and ended up scraping a lot of skin off my thumb. They still lock in place just fine, but they slide up and down way easier, which is really nice. Like here, you see the arm. If you move it back and forth a lot, it tends to come unhinged right here at this little clip on the top of the arm. Right here, it's supposed to clip the bicep together, and that was one of my main problems with the original. And now it holds in place just fine when you move this. It doesn't come detached up here, which is nice. Also, I was going to say that these little flaps on the back of the feet that fold up, they fold up in there for when this collapses up. I thought those were new to this mold, but as you can see, they are clearly present on the test shot. I just never found them. So there's that. One of the other things, the way the lion mane attaches, before, here's the little piece that the chest part goes on, and this would just tab over that, just a rectangular tab. And on the final, they actually added a post. You can see there's now a post hole in the middle of the tab there, and there's a post inside that tab right there that now tabs in, and it holds the lion head on much more securely. The shield holds on better. Originally the tab on the arm liked to fall off, and I had to thicken it with some polish over on this one. Holds on just fine now. One of the other things, now he doesn't come with this gun, and I apologize for misleading anybody in my initial review, because I got Leo and Talon and Tigress all together at once, and I didn't realize that this was originally intended to ship with Tigress, just to even out which figures come with how much stuff, so everybody gets their fair share of stuff that comes with them. It is Leo's cannon. You can take it, you can attach it to the side of his arm, but it will be coming with Tigress. So just so you know, don't freak out when it's not in your box. I just wasn't sure which parts went with which when I got those original test shots. But, however, one of the things that wasn't functional on the test shot that is now functional on the final is that if you want him to have an arm gun, the arm cannons back here, they actually peg into the back right up here. You pop them out, you can see there's a tab there on the end of it. And you just fold it up like that, and then you can attach that. It fits the tab on his arm. So you can still give him an arm gun if you wish. That's a neat little extra feature they didn't have to stick in there that I'm really happy with. And it just goes back here. Now, regarding storage of the weapons. On the test shot, these tail pieces could tab into the sides. There's a long tab and a short tab, and they store back here on the guns. And on the test shot, it's almost too tight. You can get them in there, but you really got to work at it, and they like to pop out sometimes. But you could store, maybe this side would be better. You could store them in here. Yeah, see, they were a little too tight and like to pop out on the test shot. And unfortunately, when they went to do the final, they changed the diameter of that, and it works. And it is bigger, but now it's almost too big to hold it. It does hold loosely there, you can see. But actually, I don't know how that happened. That was way looser before. Maybe it's on this side now. It's the loose one. Oh, nope. Maybe I'm using the test shot tail, so maybe that's the difference. But the tail should be able to store right there on the back of the guns. And again, it's iffy because the guns are actually chrome over plastic and then painted, and the tolerances there are just a little off. I'm not sure why they didn't just go with solid. That's probably my one big question about this is I don't know why they didn't just go with solid black plastic for these back guns. But there you have it. And as for these abdomen pieces that form the hilt of the sword, these should, again, the test shot didn't have that functionality fixed yet, but these should, when all said and done, these should store on the back of Talon's wings like turbines when they're in robot mode. So there will be a storage space for these if all goes according to plan when Talon is released. Just so you know, that was in the works. That should still be coming. So there will be places to store all the weapons when all is said and done here with Leo DUX. Or with Feral Rex, I guess. And speaking of swords, the sword here, or weapons, I wasn't speaking of swords. I found it's much easier to get the swords into his hand on the final, which is way nicer. You don't have to. I'm not worried about stress or anything. You slide it up, you pop it into place. He holds it just fine. You want to get it out, you just hold the hand still, pop it right out. No fuss, no muss. He can hold his swords. And now, speaking of swords, I was doing my transition into the Oppenheimer. You can now, with the 3 you've got, you can now build this much of the sword. All you're missing now is Talon swords, or maybe these are Tigris' swords. I think these are Talon swords, though, to go right up here on each side to fill out that bit, and you're missing the other Tigris' swords that will plug in right there to give you the rest of the hilt. But if you want to get an idea of just how big the Oppenheimer is, you can now build it with the 3 Feral Khans that are out so far. And finally, I'm not going to go into full torso mode because, aside from some tightening of joints, nothing has really changed physically there, except for one thing which we saw in a previous video. And I'll show that off real quick. Also, the tabs that hold the arms up into the torso mode in place much tighter so that the whole arm doesn't rotate when you rotate Feral Rex's arms. But then the main addition that wasn't on the test shot, hinted at on the test shot but not present, is that the Feral Rex head does include an LED feature to light up his visor. And I did a video on how to install the batteries on that. There's just a little button back here on the back of his head that turns on the LED. And it's quite bright. So yeah, one more thing to show you after a break, and then that'll be done comparing all of them together. But there's a quick look at the updated version, what you're finally getting in hands. It's showing up from various retailers. I think Captured Prey has sent out shipping notices. BBTS has it. TF Source just got theirs in stock. So he's coming. He's coming. But there is the final version of the reformatted Mastermind Creations Leo DUX, aka Razor Claw. Alright, and this is just a quick little video addendum for anybody who was worried that Leo wouldn't be strong enough to support the whole team when they're released. There you go. That is every single part of the combined mode, minus Tigris, being held up by Leo. Completely unsupported. If you want to, we'll do a little turnaround here. There is nothing holding him up. It's a bit of a balancing act, but he's not collapsing. So there you go. For anybody who's worried about that, they definitely worked on Leo's joints to make sure he was strong enough to hold the whole team.